Hey, what's going on, guys? In this lesson, we're going to be looking at file IO, that is reading and writing data to and from files. There are two methods for this. In this video, we're going to be checking out the first method, and then in the next video, I'll show you a slightly better way of doing that. Okay, so in my Python script, I'm just going to type in my file equals open, let's say save.txt r, and there we go. So what this does is, open is a function just like input and print that'll open some file. So this is the file I'm telling it to open, save.txt. R is the mode. In this case, I'm opening it in read mode, right? There are three modes available. There is R for read, write, W for write, which will overwrite any data that's already in the file, and there's A for append, which will open the file for writing, but it's not going to override what's already in the file. It's going to add to it. So we have a file open and it's stored in this myFile variable. To read data from the file, I have a few functions available. I'll just say data equals myFile dot read, and what this will do is it'll read all the data in the file. Let's print the data out, and we'll say myFile dot close. Whenever we open a file like this, we want to ensure to close the file after we are done. If I run this program now, you see it says it's pointing to open save text, and it says no such file or directory, save.txt. Basically, there is no file called save.txt, so I need to create that. Since we're on the desktop and we didn't supply a path, the desktop is where it's going to be looking for the file. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to save it on the desktop as save.txt. In this file, I'm just going to write a sentence. This is a sentence. I'm going to copy this, let's say 5 times, save, and let's run this program again. We get this is a sentence 5 times. So once again, reads the entire file in one go. The next function we have is read line. To show this, I'm just going to add a number at the end of each of these lines, just so we can see what line we are on. And now if I run my program, you see that we get only one line. This is a sentence 1. It basically just read the first line. If I run it again, we get the same thing. If I copy this and paste it down here, so essentially I am reading a line, printing it out. I'm reading a line again, printing it out. Let's do this a few times. So 3 times. If I run my code again, you see we get this is a sentence 1, this is a sentence 2, and this is a sentence 3. Read line reads the file one line at a time. What if we wanna go through the entire file line by line? You can actually do this in a for loop. So you can say for data in myFile dot read line, print data. So to actually go through the file line by line, we actually need to do read lines. And if I run this, we are going through each line at a time. So yep, that kind of simplifies the process of reading all the data in the file line by line. Now you'll see we have this extra empty line here. that we don't really have in our program. So why is that happening? That's basically happening because there is a character at the end of the file that puts in this empty line for us. We can get rid of it with data.strip, and you can see that gets rid of the empty line. Cool. So that's how we can read data in a file. What if we wanted to write some data into the file? Well, I'm going to now open this file in write mode, and something to notice, we have some data in the file. I'm going to write my file dot write Python code, and let's run this. Before we run this, note that this will overwrite what's existing in the file. So if I run this, okay, no errors. If I go back to my file, you can see everything in the file was replaced with Python code. If I do another myfile.write, this is another line. Run. You see that we get, this is another line attached to the first line that we had entered into the file, Python code. So how can we add a line? There are two things we can do. One is we can add that character that I mentioned earlier. So that character is actually a /n, and what this does is enter a new line into the file. It's as if I pressed enter here. If I run my program now, go back, you can see that this was moved to another line. Let's add like 2 or 3. So I'll just do 3. And you can see some empty lines. If I copy this, this is a third line. You see that now these two are scrunched together. So you always got to remember to add in an empty line. Another way to do this is using the writelines function. So writelines takes a list of items that you wish to write to the file. So what I'll do here is I'll just say data equals a list of all this text. And I've removed the /n's for now. What I want to do next is my file.writelines, and I'll just say data. To run my program, you can see the 3 lines were written to the file, but once again they are scrunched together. So what I'll do is just do a /n once again. And you get each line on its own line. So finally, let's look at append. So as I mentioned earlier, append will add lines to your file. So what we want to do is open the file in append mode. So we'll put A here, and we are once again going to write data to the file, and I'm going to say write. This is an appended line. So we'll do a /n. And once again, we have 3 lines in the file, Python code. This is another line. This is the third line. Maybe for this one, we can do something like AAA, just so it's a little clearer. And if I run my code, you can see AAA was added to the line instead of overriding everything that was already there. If I change this to B's, and you can see B was added to the line as well. That's all for today, and happy coding.